This is Red Moon Role-Playing.
Masks of Nyarlathotep. Where last we left our characters, they were in some dire straits. Madeline had encountered a charismatic speaker at Fat Maybel's, a man by the name of King David, who she had all kinds of suspicions about. Is he an organizer? Is he a saint? Is he a charlatan? Is he the devil in disguise? It didn't seem to matter, because the individual who was catching her attention more than any other, ultimately, was Silas Nkwani. Her reason for being there, he just seemed languid, like he was savouring the energy that was coming out of King David and infusing his audience. She revealed to Silas Nkwani the encounter with Arthur Emerson, the man who became a proto-Shoggoth in her presence. Not that she would know that creature by that name. And at that, Nkwani inquired after her. He inquired what she was looking for, what she intended to do. King David then interfered, allowing Nkwani to escape, whether intentionally or not. And by the time Madeline left the building, Nkwani was nowhere in sight, likely on his way back to the Juju House, where presently Felix has entered a very nasty situation. He discovered a cellar that contained some kind of stone plug in the ground, and what's more, every stone in this cellar is marked with some religious sigil, some of which reminiscent from the temple in Peru. Torchlight flickers, making shadows appear everywhere in this cellar, but clear to Felix was a purple velvet curtain that he peered through. On the other side of it, two cadavers, their tongues hanging loose, their insides contained just barely with a mummification of gauze, and a rich-looking cabinet of teak and gold trim, no doubt containing many treasures. Felix, not being able to help himself, reached for the cabinet, and that awoke the cadaverous servants that fell upon him, knocked him down, seized him around the ankles and around the mouth, and started carrying him out to the main body of the cellar for purposes unknown. Unfortunately, Shelby, who was above, didn't hear any of this. He had knocked out what may be the bodyguard of Silas Nkwani, Makunga, a very large man, with one deft blow to the back of the head, and dragged him into the store. And then he spent his time rummaging around the store, where he found a mask with a mummified tongue hanging from it, no doubt signifying Nkwani's membership in this cult of the Bloody Tongue, along with various other bits and pieces, but most importantly, the hatchway to the cellar, the trap door, unfortunately locked. And he does not have the key. Just as Shelby was wondering what to do next, what should occur, but Silas Nkwani enters the store. His eyes meet Shelby's. We'll find out what happens there in a moment, but first, Madeline, you left Fat Maybel's uncertain, scared, not sure what was going to happen next, or indeed what you should do next. The idea of just piloting a ferry boat, getting out of Manhattan and away, was greatly on your mind. You're on the intersection between your home and what could lead you to the Juju House. You know Rupert and Arturo are back at your place. Whether you'd be able to get back there in time and then to the Juju House. If your friends are in danger, you know Silas Nkwani must be on his way there. What's on your mind?
I think the very first thing that's on my mind is navigating the fear response and the pain response that I'm tackling simultaneously. And then there's this question, how have I so profoundly failed a team that put their trust in me again? And I look down the street that would lead me back to my brownstone, and there's a moment of hesitation, and I sigh, I close my eyes, I pinch them tight, I shake my head no, and I'm going to move as quickly as I can to the Juju House. The boys are getting ready to have company that I invited back to a situation that I didn't understand. Whatever they're getting ready to face, I'm not going to allow them to face it alone. I will pause for just a moment to put another dab on my tongue. If I'm going to make stupid decisions, let me not do it through pain.
Yep, that isn't a stupid decision at all. Taking some dope before this. Can I ask you to make a con roll?
It's a 99.
So here's the cost of critical failure, Bridgett. A critical failure at this point will essentially send you into something resembling a dervish. This drug that you've now taken 3 times since first acquiring it was not supposed to be taken at this frequency, in this dosage, and your actions will become unpredictable, wild, maybe more aggressive than you're expecting. I would expect you to dictate how those go. I don't like to dictate a player's actions, if you're happy with that.
I am delighted with that.
But that's only if you critically fail. Would you like to spend a luck and reroll?
Yes, I am going to drop my luck from 11 to 10. Okay, we're about to have a very colorful afternoon, guys. That was an 83 over my 50 con.
As you take another tongue of dope, it isn't like a fizz in your mind and all of a sudden your synapses explode. It isn't that kind of drug. It's more that the borders, the periphery of your vision just kind of bleeds away, allowing you to only see what's in front of you. Everything around you right now is a nightmare. You cannot focus on the nightmare. You just need to focus on what is in front of you. That's the way forward. The Juju House is the way forward. That's where your friends are. That's where you can be safe. And anything between you and your friends is not safe. It is part of the nightmare and you need to banish it. And right now that is all that's in your mind. It's a mantra. You are repeating it. It's a nightmare. The world around you is a nightmare and you need to escape it. Maybe more accurate than you know.
Yeah, that feels genuine and authentic.
You start sprinting. You start your sprint to the Juju House. On the ground floor of the Juju House. Well, Silas and Kwani could deliver some speech, could ask you what you're doing in here, Shelby. I'm going to ask you first and foremost to make a luck roll.
That's a 96.
Silas moves with alarming speed considering his frailty, his age. He knows that Makunga is on the ground. He suddenly crouches, yanks Makunga's head back, reaches into his mouth, and pulls on the man's tongue like a zip cord. As he does so, make a POW roll, please, Shelby, and then I'll be turning over to you to see how you respond to what I'm just dictating.
Well, things are going better. 62 under 85, so it's a regular success.
The shadows in the store are deepening. There is movement in the corners. There's movement at the edges of these shadows, like tendrils or claws, fingers, yes, appendages, maybe. Some things, or something, some very large thing is trying to squeeze out through the edges of this darkness into the store where you presently are. Silas and Kwani is just staring at you. It is a stare of absolute rigid hatred as he is inviting something in, and through his rows of teeth he starts chanting. Ina ina, Nyarlathotep, Nyarlathotep, Hanta hanta, nia nia. Shelby, what are you doing?
With my occult knowledge, do I know if disrupting this kind of ritual will it stop the effect? Will it make things worse? It could also be mythos.
Make an occult roll.
23 under 64, so that's a hard success.
A hard success, okay. So here's what you take in. He didn't just pull on Makunga's tongue. That would have been unusual, but cults are strange. He ripped the tongue out, and there is now blood flowing from his mouth. The sacrifice has been made. Whatever has been enacted here cannot be unenacted. What you can do by stopping the chanting is stop any kind of binding that is taking place. You don't know the specifics, naturally. You've never seen something like this before, but you've read about it before in various journals, most of it pulp literature. But the one truism that can be said is if the summoner cannot speak to the beast that it summons, then that summoner has no power over the beast. Now, whether that is something you want, it's maybe preferable to allowing Silas and Kwani complete control over whatever's coming through, but that is up to you. You can, of course, just try fleeing.
He's between me and the door, is he not?
He is. He stood in the doorway, over the body of Makunga.
As the owner, he very likely has the key that I need to go down.
I think it's highly probable that you can even see it when he crouched over Makunga's body to pull the tongue out.
In that case, I do briefly consider simply leaving. This is an extremely dangerous situation, and it seems like it's just getting worse, but I value my loyalty. It's something that is something I care deeply about. I've been loyal to Rupert. Even when Rupert was awkward and frustrating, I stayed loyal to him, and I feel like I need to stay loyal to my other friends too. So I'm going to take my pistol and I'm going to attempt to shoot Silas in the throat.
All right, called shots. We're looking for a hard firearms roll.
My firearms at hard is 20. I have 40 normally, so it's hard to be 20. 15.
Okay, you still need to roll for damage here, Eddy. So best of luck. That's going to be a 1d8.
It's 5.
You lift the gun to eye level. You cannot afford to miss. Squeezing the trigger, the bullet flies free and drills into Silas and Kwani's throat. You don't know if it's going to kill him, but the most important thing is it shuts him up. He chokes. Blood spurts from his mouth now, as well as from the hole that's been drilled into his neck, and he falls backwards, landing on Makunga. It does not stop the ritual. It does not stop the spell he has cast, or indeed the hunting horror from pulling through into your world. A great viperine creature with curiously distorted heads and grotesquely great clawed appendages, supporting itself on black rubbery wings of monstrous dimensions, begins to ease its way through, and it doesn't seem to be in any great hurry, to the Juju House, smashing, collapsing shelves, destroying walls. It's just emerging from this darkened corner, and somehow the place seems to be widening to accommodate it, and where it does not widen, the hunting horror just eliminates any obstruction. Shelby, you said that your loyalty outweighs your need for self-preservation. Can I ask you to make a sanity roll, please?
43 under 85.
So, Shelby, you succeeded on your sanity roll when observing this creature easing its way into existence. It should not be. This is beyond fantasy at this point. You have certainly heard all kinds of stories, read all kinds of stories about monsters, dinosaurs, creatures at the center of the earth. There's all kinds of fabulous tales, but this is the first time you've ever seen something like this. Tell me, Shelby, what are you thinking?
I look at this monstrosity, and for years, my friends have been telling me about the things they've seen. But aside from seeing a glimpse of something strange in Peru, it seemed like it was always Felix and Madeline who directly saw most of these horrors. So this is the first time I've been really confronted by it. And, well, of course, I believed my friends. I care about them and I trust them. Seeing it for the first time, I realize that it all makes sense. This is, of course, monsters exist. I've known they existed, but now I know they exist. I understand suddenly and completely in my body why Jackson Elias works so hard to find these things. It's a rush. It's a thrill to. It's terrifying. It's monstrous. I may die within moments, but a piece of the world makes sense in a way that I've craved for a long time.
Well, while you contemplate how best to act, and you don't have long to do that contemplation, it should be noted, Felix in the basement. The good news for you, Felix, such as it is, one of these Kimba mummies has dropped part of you. And there's a reason for that. The one that is still wrapped around your mouth is still wrapped around your mouth, but the one that was holding onto your ankles has now dropped you to operate the crank. Felix, what's your action here? Your hands are free. Your head is gripped.
I'll go for my gun then, and I'll try to reach it and try to shoot the thing that's holding my head.
Okay. And as your hands are completely free and self-preservation would be very high on your list, I'm going to say a regular firearms roll is fair here.
Well, that's a 34 under 50.
Okay.
Should I take it down to hard to... Would there be a point to do that? Anything I could get out of that?
Oh, well, I mean, if you want to hit something in particular, one particular part of this Kimba creature, you can absolutely try and lower your roll to get a hard success with luck. Either spend a luck point and reroll, or spend sufficient luck to reduce your firearms handgun to half.
Let's use quite a lot of luck here now, because I really need to get out of this situation. So I will use then 9 points of luck to take me to a hard success here, in order to... Well, what I want to do is to really blast this thing that's holding my head. I guess in the head is what is supposed to work?
Your hand goes for the gun at your waist, and you pull it from its holster, and with enough wherewithal, you point up at this Kimba mummy's head and pull the trigger. I would like to ask you now to roll damage for your Luger, which is 1d10.
That is a 10.
Your shot blasts through the skull of the Kimba mummy, and it does release you more out of shock than pain. The tongue that was hanging from its mouth basically drops off now to the ground and starts writhing around like a snake. And despite the fact you didn't disturb this creature's insides, per se, the gauze that was holding its abdomen together splits and its rotten intestines just spill out to the ground. It's as if this thing is falling apart around you and starts thrashing and flailing. You, of course, are dropped to the ground because this thing had you around the head. The other Kimba has stopped cranking the winch, and now the great stone plug is above the ground and you can see a circular pit. What's more, I'm not going to ask you to make a listen roll here, you can hear something from within the pit. Dozens, maybe hundreds of voices, crying and wailing, screaming, babbling, and coaxing, some of them, amid all of that pain and suffering that's being expressed, are goading and beckoning, and even recognizing you by name, Felix. You think you can hear your brother just briefly. You think you can hear, of all people, Larkin as well. And they want you to join them. They want you in the pit. You don't need to roll to resist. It's clearly madness.
Yes, I definitely don't want to go there.
The Kimba that has its hands on the crank turns. You may have made one into a thrashing lunatic, but the other one is still quite together. Are you opening fire on that one, or are you simply running for the alcove behind which could be a staircase heading up?
I'll fire at this one. I don't know how fast it is. It might catch me. If I have a chance to take this one out, I will take it.
Yeah, when they grabbed you, they certainly weren't slow moving. It's a wise choice. Make a firearms roll.
That is a 14. So that is a hard success.
If you reduce it to an extreme, you will take it out in one hit without rolling damage.
Then I'll do that.
Okay. You take the time, you find your pose, you hold your Luger in both hands and let off the shot. This one only needs one bullet. You take out the top half of its head. It's a kill shot, a dead shot, call it what you like. This mummy collapses to the ground in a heap of guts that again spill from the thin gauze holding it together. Unfortunately, Felix, you are not out of the woods yet. From the alcove, behind which could be the staircase, another 2 of these things enter the room. It would seem that this place has more than a couple of guardians. Madeline, you've been running full tilt toward the Juju House in your drugged-up haze. It's been quite difficult to get your bearings and figure out exactly where you are in Harlem. More than once, you've overshot the alley, and now you're here again. Pinpoint, laser focus, tunnel vision, call it what you like. You're running down toward the Juju House, and as you approach, you hear something monstrous inside. It screeches. Would you like to make a sanity roll to see whether you can regain your bearings? Actually, no, you know what? You're pharmaceutically enhanced. I don't think a sanity roll is going to make sense here. You can make a con roll if you want to try pushing down the psychosis.
I think that was so close. Nope, it wasn't actually. It was a 63 over 50 for my con. That is a fail.
You need to barrel in there and save your friends. There's nothing else for it.
I brought this upon them. It's the right thing to do. And it's the only way that we're going to get Jackson out of this. No one else is going to believe me. There's only one way forward, and it's the path that I've committed to. So I'm going to barrel into the Juju House.
You nearly trip over the bodies of Silas and Kwani, who is currently holding on to his throat, which is fountaining blood, and Mukunga, whose presence you hadn't become acquainted with, and then you see it. Make a sanity roll. Shelby is backing up behind the counter, but more devastatingly, you can see the enormous, ropey black serpent with its umbrella-like wings twitching into reality, casting about looking for its obvious target.
That is a 54 under 60.
No sanity loss for you. The drugs do work. So now is the big moment. The hunting horror hasn't acted other than to be summoned, and that took a round during which Silas and Kwani is choking on his own blood, so good for him. Now we need to see the hunting horror, as its name indicates, hunts people. It goes for its victim. It tends to, and this is a bit of meta-knowledge, your characters won't know it, but for the sake of narrative, the hunting horror likes to target a victim and ideally rend it or fly off with it to somewhere where it can be rended in peace. We currently have 4 potential targets. Shelby is target 1, Madeline is target 2, Silas is 3, Mukunga is 4. Maciej, roll 1d4.
Alright. That is a 2.
Madeline, you don't know what you did to piss this thing off. It might be beyond such petty human emotion, but the hunting horror vaults across the store, its wings out, at you. Now, that's its movement, but I now need to check, and this is rare we actually go into such granular detail, each of your movement rates. I believe that the hunting horror is going to move faster than all of you, but I would just like to know, do any of you have a movement? I think some of you do have a movement above 7, don't you?
I have an 8.
I have a 7.
Well, in that case, Madeline, Shelby, because I think Madeline's is 8 as well. It's at the top of your sheet. Madeline, make a roll for dodge.
I rolled a 55 over my dodge of 30.
Okay. Do you want to adjust that? Do you want to risk spending a luck here?
So, Madeline, I, under normal circumstances, would, but I'm going to lean into the pharmaceutical enhancement and just go with a no. If I'm trying to deny the nightmares, avoid the nightmares, hide from the nightmares, suppress the nightmares, I'm going to say no, and we're just going to see what happens. I critically failed. I'll lean into that.
The hunting horror lands directly in front of you, and in a snap, its tail is wrapping around you, cocooning you and preventing your movement. Shelby, what are you to do here?
Okay, first thing I need to do is get over this counter.
No roll required for that.
Okay, get over the counter.
It's mostly demolished at this point.
I'm going to, because Silas is not out, so I gonna grab the key from his neck.
Okay, nice simple roll for you then, Shelby. I want you to make a strength roll because he reaches up and tries to hold on to it. He doesn't know that Felix is down there, and as far as he's concerned, the most important thing to his cult is in the cellar. He doesn't want you having his key.
58 under 60.
58 under 60. He also made a strength roll, and he failed his, so you wrench it from his hand, which is slick with his own blood, and have the key in your hand. However, you can see now that the hunting horror is binding Madeline. Meanwhile, down in the cellar, Felix, another two of these creatures, continuing to open fire. Your ears are ringing. It is very uncommon that you've had cause to open fire in such an enclosed space. There will be no listen rolls for you. You're completely oblivious to the hell that's raging above you.
Yes. Seeing them coming, I still have bullets left. I keep firing.
Okay. If you want to fire at both of them in the same round, make a hard firearms roll. In fact, I think your Luger can make 3 attacks per round.
Yes, it's I got 3 within the brackets here.
Yeah. Yeah, you've only spent 2 from your clips. Go for it.
That is a 0-7.
Wow. Excellent roll. Okay. Right now you are a sharpshooter. You're a hitman, Felix Bauer. Blam! And blam again. One skull explodes, the next one you drill through the chest, but you see the explosion on the other side. You think you've cut straight through the creature's spine. You don't know who is guiding your bullets right now. God, you hope it's not Luis de Mendoza. But something is assisting you here. Unfortunately, while you're shooting at the two that have just entered the room, the one that was madly thrashing strikes out at you. You do not get to dodge, you are firing a gun. I get to roll and see whether I hit you, although I'm at a significant disadvantage. I do still hit you. The thrashing Kimba mummy, largely disorientated and completely unaware of where you are exactly, still strikes you with its clawed hands and rakes across your neck. It doesn't cut into the jugular or the windpipe, nothing vital, though there is a lot of mess of arteries and veins that run through that part of the body. You suffer a grand total of 3 hit points of damage as it rips the skin from your neck.
I scream and try to turn around to shoot at it.
The voices in the pit scream as well. You turn around to shoot?
Yes.
Okay, go for it. Make another firearms roll, please.
Well, that was 100, so I'm definitely re-rolling that one.
I will tell you right now the cost of critical failure. The gun will jam. That may not seem like much in the great scheme of things, but in this scenario, that will be very bad.
I got a 24, which is a hard success.
A hard success. Fantastic. Roll your damage, please, Maciej. If you are unloading the gun at this point, you can use the remainder of the clip. You have currently burned through 5 of the bullets. That leaves you with 3.
Alright.
You can potentially make 3 in a round, and you have made a hard success. So you can go bam, 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 3d10.
Alright, then I'll do that. I need to take this thing out. This is the only one that's still standing, right?
The only one you're aware of, sure.
The first is a 10, a 2, and a 4.
This Kimba mummy, perhaps the strongest one here, finally expires. The first shot goes through its shoulder. No great thing, but then you aim slightly closer to its heart, and if it was still beating, it is now taken out. As it falls to its knees, somehow still flailing and thrashing, you can stand close enough to it to send a bullet all the way through the top of its skull, down through the back of its neck. Finally, the Kimba mummy stops its movement. And in some way, Felix, though now is probably not the time for philosophizing, it feels like you've brought some peace to these tortured creatures. Unfortunately, the babbling and moaning and pleading from the bottom of the pit is still ongoing. Mercifully, the deafening ringing in your ears right now subdues most of it from reaching you. Back up in the shop. Okay, Shelby, you successfully have the key in your hand. Madeline is restrained. This hunting horror is binding her in its tail. You don't know what it's going to do next. It's probably not going to be pleasant. What's the action, Shelby Shattuck?
I take a quick glance at it. Is there any place that looks like it might be a weak spot, a soft area, something that will cause this thing to let her go?
Oh, it's so dark in here that I'm going to ask you to make a hard spot hidden roll for this. Don't worry, there's not going to be a massive penalty or anything if you fail. It's just you won't spot any kind of obvious weak spot.
It's 20 over 17 hard, so I'll spend 3 points to drop it down and get that success.
You don't think that there's any physical weak spot per se. It's not like it has a soft underbelly you could just drive your gun into, but there are large, almost conical ears, like they would absorb sound, like an ear horn. And you imagine that this creature is less based on sight than on sound. Therefore, setting off your gun right next to one of those auditory devices would probably send it into a frenzy, which may be good, may be bad, might make it release Madeline, at least. Of course, you could just shoot into it.
No, I actually, I think I will do that, especially because I'm standing right next to Silas.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shoot as close to that as possible and then move away from him so it hopefully turns around and attacks Silas.
Okay, so you're not actually going to shoot the hunting horror, you're going to shoot beside it so that it isn't distracted by the pain, but purely by the piercing sonic.
Correct.
Okay, I don't need you to roll for that, you're just letting off the gun beside its head, and as you do so, now make a luck roll.
25 under 34?
Miracle of miracles, Madeline. The constricting grip of this creature's tail releases. It isn't completely gone, the tail hasn't just whipped off entirely, but the hunting horror's body has shifted. And its eyes, you can see now that it's facing you vaguely, Shelby. The hunting horror has dozens of tiny bead-like eyes dotting where its face should be. And they're all twitching manically, trying to determine the source of that devastating sound that is now rocking its world. It notices the flailing, clutching Silas and Kwani. You succeeded your luck roll, and you get something for it. The hunting horror does not use its tail on Silas. It dives its beak-like maw into his back and just starts burrowing through it. You hear the snapping of bones, and indeed you see the sudden gushing of blood. It is as if it has bit into a fire hose filled with blood, because there is a sudden gout of arterial spray that just bursts into being, and the hunting horror just nuzzles and nestles and burrows its way through until it reaches Silas and Kwani's heart. This gives the both of you time to do something. Bear in mind that tail is still there, Madeline. You're not bound by it, but it could very easily just tighten its grip again very, very quickly. So, Madeline, what's the action?
All of this is way too loud and way too busy and way too nightmarish. So I think I need to at least remove myself from this particular situation. So if the tail has loosened its grip on me, I am just going to be almost like folding through large strands of spaghetti, just try to worm my way out of its grip and then throw my back up against the nearest wall. And though I'm looking at this thing gorge itself on a man that I'm pretty sure is getting ready to kill my friends, I'm just not going to, it's not that I'm disassociating from it, but just this nightmare is something that I need to push into my periphery. So I'm locked on staring at it and panting with my back against a wall, but I'm not actually recognizing what's happening in front of me.
Shelby?
I'm going to rush over to Madeline, misunderstanding her reaction as just fear of the horrifying creature. And I'm going to shove the key into her hand and say, "Trapdoor, now," and point towards the counter.
Directionality is a really beautiful thing. I remember that key from earlier. That was today, right? Or was that last week?
It feels like a long time ago, but only today.
What is time when you're riding a rave that I am right now, between a broken rib and my own personal intoxication? But I remember this key from at some point. Trapdoor, And he's pointing in a direction, and I'm just going to nod, and then I'm going to climb on all fours until I'm able to get onto all twos, and then I'm going to move that direction.
I assume you're following Shelby?
Not yet. As soon as I see she's going that way, I'm going to quickly duck into the back room and grab that ledger.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to make a quick dodge roll then, or dexterity. You choose which one is better for you, Shelby, because this thing may well hear your movement.
Right, the question is, like, is there a benefit for choosing dex over dodge? Because otherwise, dodge is literally half of my dex.
In this case, no. I'm just feeling very kind.
Dead on hard success. 42 out of 42.
Superb. You dive into the storeroom where, until recently, Inquani made his living space. I guess he won't be living there any longer. You grab the ledger off the table. This room, even though it isn't in a perfect state, is considering the disarray in the actual store right now, the shop. This place looks like a damn museum, but you don't have time to really appreciate that. You grab the ledger. You can make your way back out to the shop where Madeline, you've, I assume, worked the key into the lock.
Yes. Fumbling, but yes.
Felix, while all this is going on and the babbling continues, what's your action?
Oh, I have to get out of here. I really have to get out of here. The only path through the drapes there and further in, or was there another exit?
There was another exit on the west. That's where the other two Kimba mummies came from. So you had two through the west, through the eastern curtain, and two through the western alcove. As you have not seen a staircase yet, one would assume it is through the western alcove.
And that's where I'm going. I can't stay here anymore.
Okay. You are not as rattled as you otherwise might be. Maybe the accuracy of your shooting has made it all feel a little more like a target range. It's certainly felt lethal, don't get me wrong. But you have your stability, your sense of purpose. And that means that as you find the staircase and start trudging up it at speed, and that trapdoor opens above you, your automatic instinct isn't to just open fire. You have enough wherewithal right now where that isn't a risk. And so the trapdoor opens and you see Madeline and Shelby, and now you can hear it. You can hear a screeching, howling creature thrashing around because the hunting horror has ceased its feast and is about to go after the next possible targets.
Good, Felix, we gotta go. Go. We gotta get out of here now. No.
Yeah, and I'll just follow kind of in a bit of a daze from what I've gone through.
I will head down the stairs back the way where Felix is coming from. It's like, how did you get in here?
Like,
gotta go.
Coal chute. I don't think we we get up that? Was it possible to get up that way? Is it too steep or?
Coal chute. I don't know. We need to go see because that way there's a monster up there. We can't go that way.
All right. Do you know another way out?
There's got to be another way out.
All right. Well, let's look for it then.
Madeline, as you have not been involved in this conversation, I would like to ask you... I assume you closed the trapdoor behind you. I'm not going to ask you to roll to see if you do.
Absolutely.
Okay. Slam! The trapdoor closes behind you. Now make a luck roll.
It's a 27 over my 10, I believe.
The hunting horror swoops over, not that you see it, but you certainly hear it land onto the trapdoor where it starts scratching at the trapdoor, trying to pry it open. And then, realising it can't from its current vantage, it starts hammering its head into the trapdoor to break it open. All three of you descend to the cellar. I mean, sure enough, Felix was correct. There is no obvious way out of here. There is the door that led to the coal cellar, which is still open from where Felix left it. There is the pit, which both of you now, in the form of Shelby and Madeline, can hear the various voices emerging from. There is the curtained-off area. The curtains are slightly aside now because two of the Kimba mummies emerged from there. Theoretically, you know, Felix, that both you and Madeline could climb up the coal chute. You've both got you would both fit. You'd both be able to get back out into the courtyard and flee. You know, realistically, there is no way on God's earth Shelby is going to fit up there.
No. And I would never leave him behind. We'll have to check that... The eastern one, the one behind the drapes. Maybe there's an exit there.
Yeah, let's look over there.
The only thing behind the drapes, other than a deep alcove and 2 recesses where Kimber mummies were until recently stood, and by the way, you can of course see 4 bodies in various states of dismemberment in the cellar that you have to step over to get here, is a large cabinet, as mentioned earlier, quite opulent in design, but certainly no door.
There's no way out.
Can a person fit in that cabinet, Matthew? Or I'm specific, can I fit in that cabinet?
It's not that big. I love the idea of it, but it isn't that big. But there is an option here, Shelby. One of the voices from the pit. Hide down here with us. You'll be safe with us. Shelby Shattuck. You'll be safe with us down here.
What the hell?
Yes. Come down here. No, stay away. It hurts so much. It doesn't hurt, stop complaining.
I turn to Felix. Felix, Madeline's injured. She needs to go up a coal chute. You need to protect her.
What about... Oh, alright, well, I'll get her up first.
Okay.
Wait, I can't...
We have to go.
No, wait, it's 3 of us, right? We can face a nightmare together.
Do you have a weapon?
No. Do I have a knife?
I grab Madeline by the shoulders. Madeline, we're not going to leave you. We'll be right behind you. But you have to go now. Otherwise, no one will be left to protect Jackson.
Yeah. There's only you. So, let's get you out of here and you'll find a way to help us. I know that. I say, laughing a bit nervously.
A wince pulls at my entire face as a flinch literally just runs through my entire soul. And I am going to do the classic Madeline leap and hug. And then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to get up that chute as quickly as possible.
Okay, I won't make you make a climb roll. Felix, I need you to make a luck roll now, because not every person with a concealed weapon on the streets of New York carries a fresh clip of ammunition with them. And this is to see whether you did.
Turns out that I did. That's a 26 under 49.
In that case, you have another 8 bullets. And it might be just as well. Because now, thundering down the stairs in a frankly ungainly fashion, the hunting horror spools on its tail. Its claws, which are more like elbows with jagged rivets protruding from them, acting in a fashion like feet, and its wings uncomfortably curled behind it. It is not used to such confined spaces. Falls down the staircase, unfurls, and howls at the 2 of you. And I'm guessing that both of you are acting akin to a firing squad here.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you both to make a firearm handguns roll. If you don't kill it in 1 round, it is almost certain that it will kill one of you.
Okay, so I'm going to reroll my 98. 38 under 40?
That is a hit, so you're hitting 3 times, so go for 3d8. Meanwhile, Felix, make your firearms roll. Don't tell us the damage yet, Eddy.
That's a 10. That's an extreme success.
You may well have impaled this thing. Let's roll for damage. That's going to be 3d10 for you, if you're unloading.
I am.
This is just bam, 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 bam.
7, 8, and 2.
Okay, so can you add your respective damages up? So what did you get in total, Eddy?
11.
11?
17.
17. The array of metal that sent screaming through the air into this hunting horror as it bounds toward the both of you, inevitable that it would kill one of you, is sufficient to stop it in its tracks. You blast it to pieces across the middle, somehow communicating without speaking. Each of you just knowing innately where the other is going to aim to do the most harm. And so, as Shelby targets the thing's torso, Felix cuts across its abdomen. And like a worm, it is severed, and despite the fact it is severed, it continues wriggling in its constituent parts, only briefly. Only briefly. The hunting horror, if it is capable of much thought beyond hunt and consume, is surprised, it's shocked, it doesn't know what just happened. It could barely perceive the two of you in front of it. All it knew was there was a great deal of noise down in this cellar and it needed to follow. And now it can't feel its tail. Now it can't feel its wings. Now it can't feel anything. And then it stops moving. And the two of you are left there, drenched in the smell of cordite, ears utterly baffled. If the screaming and moaning and babbling and coaxing are still going on from the pit, you cannot hear a word of it. You are both lost in the carnage that has just happened before you, at your hands. And you feel a hand on your shoulder, Felix. And you see a face out of the corner of your eye. De Mendoza, giving you a reassuring, "Good work, Signor Bauer. Very good work." And that is where we shall end our session. Thank you very much for listening.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we play Masks of Nyarlathotep for Chaosium's Call of Cthulhu 7th edition. Joining us as our keeper is none other than our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and we were also joined by Bridgett Jeffries and Eddy Webb. The music was made by Aegersonus and Halgrath, and we've also used Cryochamber's Lovecraftian compilation albums. All of this with the permission of Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient for your gaming table. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Simon Cooper, Julia, Camilla, Bob Lange, Cameron, Graham Barey, Doug Thomson, Lily, Maciej, Black Templar, Dennis Sadecki, and Leonhardt for their generous support. You would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, this show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for Cult of the Lost, Call of Cthulhu, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and Warhammer 40k Imperium Maledictum there. And you can also get early and raw access to all of our recordings, and hear your name read on the show as a champion of the Red Moon, as well as even play some Cult with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, I am the last. I will tell the audient void.